Tweets Dino Melaye kidnapped on Thursday was arraigned, granted bail on Wednesday. 500 PDP members decamped to APC in Abuja. In international news, Pakistan's Imran Khan on verge of clinching Pearl victory. And in sports, Forai Egypt coaching job.
This is ANN News.
I am Rotimi Akintunde. Senator Dino Melaye of Kogi West Senatorial District has surely been busy and active these days with mundane things like face-offs with police, jumping out of moving police vehicles and driving into a shooting frenzy at roadblocks. Now we learn from a tweet from Senator Ben Mirabruz that Melaye has been kidnapped on his way to Kogi. He had an eventful Wednesday as well in the courts. ANN's Lucy Adeyemi has the details.
Senator Dino Melaye was arraigned by the federal government on a 6-count charge that include attempted suicide, attempt to escape from custody, and damage of police property. He was alleged to have committed these offenses in April. Government attorney Alex Izinyo alleged that Melaye forced his way out of a police vehicle and escaped while being conveyed to Lokoja. He also said after jumping out of the vehicle, Melaye sat on the ground holding a substance he threatened to drink to kill himself so he could put the police officers in trouble. He was further accused of breaking the vehicle's glass with his elbow, causing damage to the police property. The senator pleaded not guilty to the charges and was granted a 5 million naira bail. Melaye is already on another bail from the Abuja Magistrate Court on the same matter. Lucy Adeyemi, ANN News.
Busy senator indeed. The wife of Nigeria's Senate President, Toyin Saraki, has managed to stay out of the limelight for a long time, but she broke her silence on Wednesday when the police denied besieging Saraki's residence and allegedly accusing her husband of having a connection with leaders of an armed robbery gang in Ofa, Kwara State. ANN's Olajumoke Olatunji has the details.
Police had said the officers who blocked the entrance to Saraki's residence were his personal security staff. They said no blockage of the Senate President was ordered. Police spokesman Jimo Moshud said there are 40 policemen attached to the Senate President alone. Mrs. Saraki disagreed with the police account. She insisted no one in a security detail was involved and that vehicles that blocked the residence were not assigned to her. Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris had visited the Senate President to report at an Abuja police station on Monday in connection with the Ofa bank robbery attack in which 33 people were killed. The police had claimed the robbery gang leaders had confessed that he had a relationship with Saraki. The Senate President has denied any knowledge of this gang. Olajumoke Olatunji, ANN News.
The presidency is getting uneasy about what it says is an orchestrated campaign against President Muhammadu Buhari every time law enforcement agencies invite a VIP for questioning in the discharge of their duties. This was a response to the outrage that followed the invasion of the homes of Senate President Bukola Saraki and his deputy, Ike Ekweremadu, on Tuesday. The president said in a statement that no one is above the law and that the law of the land is made for all, not just for the poor or those at the lowest rungs of the social ladder. He lamented a scenario he painted that ordinary citizens are often called by police to answer questions or be interrogated, but that when a VIP is called up for interrogation, there are always annoying insinuations of partisanship, persecution, or outright politicization. The statement goes further that President Buhari does not and will not influence or interfere with cases. It is beginning to look like political comedy in the nation's capital as defections now happen in massive numbers. At least 500 PDP members in Kuje area, Abuja, defected to the ruling All Progressives Congress on Wednesday. APC chairman in Kuje, Godwin Poi, commended the defectors for their bold step in switching to the ruling party. Yahaya Mohammed Gambo, spokesman for the Decampese, said they switched parties because of impunity and lack of internal democracy in the PDP. Among those who decamped are former PDP heavyweights Sakin Samari, Alhaji Abdulhamid Idris Sabo, Haji Aramatu Idris, Yahaya Mohammed Gambo, and others. APC Kuje chairman Poyi said the ruling party is a viable alternative for good governance. The Yoruba Self-Determination Advancement Forum, which consists of 60 Yoruba groups, has vowed its support for any political party or presidential candidate will be based on the party or candidate's stand on the issues of restructuring and genuine federalism. The group, comprising of members from the Southwest, have accused the region's elite of watering down the democratic ideals of Yoruba land in the last 19 years. Group Secretary Kolare told journalists the present democracy has failed to deliver good governance and that there has been very little development since the country returned to civilian rule. The group said it opposes bigotry in leadership and that it would only support a candidate who shares the world view of engaging the young and marginalized groups and who would restore confidence in the economy. The group says such a candidate would trigger emancipation of the Yoruba people. Now to other stories. Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode may be getting tired of the burden Lagos carries by hosting the country's two most functional seaports and the toll they take on the state's resources, especially its road infrastructure. So he has called on the federal government to revive or make more functional seaports in other parts of the country. The governor made specific reference to the Apapa port and the need to decongest and ease the traffic gridlock that has bogged down that part of Lagos. Ambode said the government should immediately look for alternatives to trucks and tankers in moving fuel around the country. The governor was addressing a town hall meeting at Ibejuleki Local Council Development Area on Wednesday. He said the challenge is to find a permanent solution to the perennial traffic gridlock in Lagos. The Ministry of Transportation is working to extend the Apapa railway station in Lagos to achieve the modernization of the ongoing Lagos-Ibadan rail project. Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi has ordered an audit of railway properties within Apapa and surrounding areas. He gave the order while inspecting the Apapa station earlier in the week. The minister said all railway projects will end at Apapa station. Progress on the rail project is being slowed down by gas pipeline within the Lagos axis. The minister said a contract will be awarded for the relocation of the water pipeline this week. The minister was not pleased that the relocation of the gas pipeline is the only problem that has not been resolved. In an effort to combat armed robbery, the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, has banned scavengers from operating within Abuja City Center. The administration said this action became necessary after residents complained about losing many valuables to the scavengers. FCTA also said many public utilities have been vandalized and there have been robbery activities that point to scavengers. They are also accused of involvement in many criminal activities, from petty stealing to armed robbery, vandalism, and other forms of crime. They are now restricted to only approved dump site instead of moving around in neighborhoods. The International Committee of the Red Cross says it played no part in negotiations that led to the release of abducted Chibok and Dapchi schoolgirls. The Red Cross made a clarification to debunk recent media reports that the ICRC had played a role in the negotiations. The Red Cross said it is a neutral humanitarian organization that cannot play such a role. It says involving itself in such activities would be contrary to its principle of neutrality. It also says such activities are outside of its mandate. The organization explained that apart from Nigeria, it had also acted as neutral intermediary in cases of released persons in the Sudan and Colombia and for the return of dead bodies in Sri Lanka. Stay with us. ANN News will be right back after these messages.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby.
We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward.
Wait, stop. You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down. Keep walking to the left. Yes. You're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Welcome back. This is CNN News. Now to some African stories. The city of Limbe in Cameroon's southwest has been hit by flood early in the week. Douala, Cameroon's largest city and economic capital, also had rains and landslides that left schools stranded. Videos and photos on social media show flooded streets. No official casualty figures has been released, but local media are reporting 10 dead. Floods continue to cause havoc across parts of Africa, where high rains patterns have resulted in loss of lives and destruction to properties. For the first time, the Somalian government says it will pursue court action against the case of female genital mutilation. Attorney General Ahmed Ali Dahir made this decision after a 10-year-old girl reportedly died 3 days after she was genitally mutilated. Investigation is ongoing, and FGM reported the case. It is a global media campaign using advocacy to end female genital mutilation. Sierra Leone police has warned journalists and media organizations against broadcast of misleading and inciting statements. The police force specifically called out a radio station and a television channel for broadcasts that it says were made against President Julius Maada Bio's administration. The force also said the media must always cross-check governance issues and matters of public concern before making public statements. 8 human rights groups say Kenya's government is violating the rights of thousands of people being evicted from their homes in the last 2 weeks to protect a forest and construct a road. More than 7,000 people have been evicted in western Kenya to preserve a critical water catchment area. The Mau Forest complex from destruction. Rights groups say the evictions violate the rights of the people affected. Amnesty International and other groups said on Wednesday at least 10,000 people were left homeless when they were evicted from Nairobi's Kibera slum, where the government plans to build a road. They accused the authorities of going against a court order prohibiting government from evicting residents from the area without a resettlement plan. Officials said armed protesters from Mali's Arab community fired shots into the air, burnt tires and vehicles in Timbuktu on Wednesday, bringing the desert city to a standstill days before election in the country. The Arab youth, mostly petty traders, were protesting against worsening insecurity and alleged ill treatment by security forces in northern Mali, which has been plagued by Islamist violence, Tuareg separatists and ethnic tensions ever since armed groups took over parts of the region in 2012. Witnesses said demonstrators filled the streets, forcing shops and banks to shut. Malians will vote on Sunday in a presidential election in which President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta will seek a second term amid rising discontent over the government's record on security. African Union AU election team says it is concerned more by processes rather than the result of Zimbabwe's crunch poll. AU head of observer mission to Zimbabwe and former Ethiopian Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn Boshe urged aggrieved opposition candidate to approach the court for recourse. He insisted that the continental body still had the confidence of most people. Boshe says AU has the capacity and guidelines that countries, including Zimbabwe, have agreed to abide by, even though they have not ratified the protocol on democracy and elections. He encouraged parties to remain in the race to take part in enhanced democratic process. Boshe urged them not to quit amid fears there could be an exodus of candidates walking out of the elections over concerns regarding how the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission ZEC has handled the pre-election period. Burundian companies operating in the artistic field, food processing, agribusiness and tourism are exhibiting their products to a larger consumer base. It is the opening of Burundi Diaspora Week in the capital, Bujumbura. Tourism, investment and social services officials say they expect much from the trade fair. The event is organized yearly to establish contract between Burundians living in the country and diaspora. Participants will have the opportunity to share experiences and contribute to the country's development. We will take another break and return shortly. Stay with us.
Shining our eyes on breaking news, whether in the east or in the west, with Al-Shabaab in Somalia and Boko Haram in Nigeria, with turbulence in the north and agitation in the south. Wherever you live in Nigeria, wherever news happens in Africa, we've got it covered. ANN News, connecting Africans in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Let's take some international stories. There has been a bomb explosion outside the U.S. Embassy in Beijing on Thursday, wounding the lone assailant. Police described the weapon merely as a firework device. Authorities say the suspect is a 26-year-old man from China's Inner Mongolia region. They also say he injured his hand and was taken to the hospital. An eyewitness reported a police vehicle appeared to have been damaged and was cordoned off before being removed. No motive was provided. Pakistani cricket icon turned politician Imran Khan notched closer to power on Thursday after a general election that has been marred by long delays in ballot counting and opponents' accusations of rigging. With about half the vote counted from Wednesday's poll, Election Commission said Khan's PTI party was in a commanding lead in the nuclear-armed Muslim majority nation. But supporters of jailed Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif said the process was an assault on democracy in a country that has a history of military rule. The stock market shot up nearly 2% in early trading on relief that Khan was expected to be able to form a stable coalition. Islamic State in Syria, ISIS has claimed responsibility for the mass shooting in Toronto that left 2 people dead and 13 injured. The terror group routinely claims responsibility for acts of violence and did not provide any evidence to support its claim. Canadian police are digging into the life of Hussein, seeking to explain what prompted him to fire a gun into restaurants and cafes in Toronto's Greektown neighborhood. Ministry of Public Safety had earlier denied that Hussein had any link to terrorism. Hussein died after an exchange of gunfire with police. His family said he had long suffered from psychosis and depression. It was not immediately clear whether he took his own life or was killed by police during the melee on Sunday night. Greek officials are investigating whether the devastating fire was set by arsonists. At least 81 people were killed in the fires in different areas outside the capital. Athens were ravaged. Rescue crews have been searching for victims. Investigators are probing if the fires were deliberately set. They have requested for drones from the United States to detect any suspicious activity. The fires exploded on Monday in the first near the seaside towns outside Athens. Fanned by winds of up to 60 miles per hour and fueled by parched vegetation, flames quickly grew into infernos that swept across the region, leveling homes, trapping victims, and prompting thousands of people to flee for their lives. Officials say the death toll has climbed to 81. 200 have been injured. More than 1,000 homes and 300 vehicles were either destroyed or damaged by the fires. Stay with us. We will be right back after these messages.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward. Wait, stop. You okay, Lindsay, you alright? Keep walking down, keep walking to the left, yes. You're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on, so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
There is a new all-news network on the scene in Nigeria to give news from a purely news perspective and to promote free information flow across Africa. Fresh views, unbiased, bold, with a purely African view. African News Network, ANN, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to sports. 22 Nigerian gymnasts have arrived in South Africa to participate in the 4th edition of the African International Level System Championship. Before departing from Abuja on Wednesday, head coach Anthony Asukwo emphasized that their whole agenda is to expose the young athletes to international championships and also to compete for Olympic qualifiers. The coach said the gymnasts are in the 6 to 15-year brackets and are competing in level 5 instead of levels 2 and 3. The competition starts on Friday. The Egyptian Football Association says it is choosing the national team's next coach from 4 candidates whom a committee is considering for the job. They are candidates from Spain, Mexico, Bosnia and Colombia. The federation is choosing a successor for Argentinian coach Hector Cuper, whose contract has expired at the close of the World Cup, where Egypt lost all 3 of its matches. Cuper took the job in 2015 and led the team last year to its first World Cup in 28 years. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other stories, visit our website annafrica.net and our social media platforms ANN Africa TV. I am Rotimi Akintunde. Have a great evening.